Real quick, I want to pause and thank this video sponsor, which is Wix e-commerce. In this video, I'm going to start on a bathroom remodel and bring you along for the process. Spoiler alert, this project only took me 5 days, which is crazy to me, but check out the massive transformation. I replaced the bathroom vanity, framed the mirror, updated the light fixture, I laid down new flooring, I updated the toilet, and even gave the shower a facelift. Let me start at the beginning and show you what I did in case you want to do the same to yours. Day one of any remodel is the fun part, as it's demo day. My goal with this day was to get everything out of the bathroom, and I started with the vanity. I removed the drawers as well as the doors to give me more working space, then looked for any screws holding the vanity to the wall. After pulling those, I cut the caulking joint along the wall and the vanity, as well as the back of the top and the wall. Oh, and shut off the water. I not only closed the 2 shutoff valves under the sink, but I also killed water to the entire house. So 2 ways that you can remove the vanity. 1, you can disconnect all of the plumbing right now in order to shimmy them out, but 2, you can just cut a giant hole around it all, and that's the method I'm gonna take. I plan to replace the fittings and lines while working on this, but I wanted to get the vanity out of the way to do that. When cutting the panel, I wasn't concerned with keeping it pretty, so I cut and ripped until all the pipes would clear. Now, before leaving the space, I at least needed to disconnect the lines holding the sink in. So I unthreaded the 2 supply lines, the main drain pipe going into the wall, then also a condensation line, which is the black hosing you see in my setup. Over on the right side, I had 1 more caulking joint to cut and a piece of molding to replace. But then, I thought I should have been able to move the vanity away. It didn't quite go that easily though. So this is not budging, and I think what they've done is grouted it instead of just caulking it. So that means I'm just gonna have to use brute force rather than the soft tender touch. I didn't go crazy on it with a sledge because I was trying to reduce the amount of cleanup, but you could go crazy and just smash it to bits. After a bit of trying to get it out, I decided to start with the backsplash, which I planned on removing anyway. If you do this, go into it expecting to replace the drywall. I already planned to, so I took my multi-tool and cut a line up a little bit higher than my flat bar needed to be and went to town on removing it. After getting that section removed, I was able to get the vanity a little bit more freed up, but it still didn't go down without a fight. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, you just gotta get mad at it. Yes! Got it. And now the body to follow. In this day and age, with everything being online, it's important to have a high quality e-commerce website. But building a website can sound so daunting and time consuming. Believe me, I get it, but I want to tell you that it isn't. If you're wanting to set up a website with a store, check out Wix e-commerce. You're going to be blown away at how quick, yet versatile and professional looking it is. Let's say you're creating something in your shop and you want to sell it to the public. You can set up a website to make that happen in less than an hour. For example, I wanted a website to sell my shop charts. I went to Wix e-commerce and went through the step-by-step process. You can pick your layout, drag and drop images, pick your coloring, everything. But it isn't just aesthetics. Wix also has you on the important information on the back end as a business owner. You can manage and track everything with an advanced integrated dashboard, from inventory, orders, fulfillment, to payment and brand marketing. So now we've gone over the time-consuming issue and the difficulty level, so what else could be stopping you? Maybe you don't want to hassle with shipping items. Well, Wix e-commerce also has you there with their extensive shipping and fulfillment capabilities, including hassle-free drop shipping, meaning you can elect to have them ship items to your customers. Wix is a company that is in it for you. Their goal is to make getting you online as quick as possible. And as an online business owner, I have enough experience in this realm to let you know that they excel. So I encourage you to take that leap, and whatever you're creating in your shop, put it online for the public to see and buy. You can head to wix.com/April store to start your own today. Next, I moved on to ripping up the backsplash that is on the main wall. Let's see, the only tips I have for you on this step aren't much. I was actually a little bit of a heathen on it. I used a stud when I had one to use leverage to pop the tile up, but in that center span, I just ripped it out. I do recommend removing the mirror to keep it from getting damaged. Then again with the multi-tool, you can cut yourself a line to prevent the paper from tearing outside of your opening. Or you could do like me and make the clean line afterwards. Now a new piece of drywall can be cut to size and popped into place, but I'll get to that later. Next I moved to taking out the toilet. And who knew there was so much to do wrong here, but boy is there. However, that is the benefit of watching my experience. You can learn all the Wilker Do's and the Wilker Don'ts. First thing I did was close the shutoff valve. This kills water from coming into the toilet. Next, I unthreaded the supply line going into the tank. It's great to have a bucket on hand to empty the water into. Next, I undid the bolts holding the toilet to the floor. At this point, I thought I was ready to remove the tank from the body of the toilet so I can move it out. On either side of the tank, you'll find a bolt to unscrew. Oops, 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 oops. Go back on! My bad! I forgot to flush the toilet. Alright, Wilker don't. Flush the toilet. If you don't want all of the tank's water going onto the floor, remember to flush the toilet first. There will still be some water left, so again, I recommend using a bucket. On this portion of the toilet, there's a wax ring that seals it to the plumbing coming up from the foundation. So that means that wherever you set this down, you're gonna have that squishy imprint of the wax ring. So I would recommend taking this immediately outside. The advice I gave about the wax ring is true, but that isn't the most important information to give you about this step. Let me let you enjoy watching how this plays out, then I'll give you the key advice for this step. Oh, it's not that bad. It went in my shoe! I don't like that. Guys, I don't like this job. How do I make it stop leaking? I don't want to be a plumber. It won't stop dripping water. I have toilet water shoe. Oh gosh. There goes my other shoe. What is happening? It's deceiving how much water is left in the pipes. After every slosh, I was thinking, surely that is the last of it. To save yourself from getting toilet shoes, you could bring a sponge to sop up the water or a dry, wet shop vac in order to suck it out. Or I've even heard from some people to lay a contractor trash bag next to it and put the toilet right into it, so then you just carry it out and it doesn't matter if it makes a mess. I spent a good amount of time cleaning up my huge mess, and no, I did not bring a change of shoes with me. I carried on with my work. The next step was for me to remove all of my shoe molding. And two things, if you want to lay down flooring and only have baseboards, then you need to remove those. However, if you have shoe molding, then you can leave the baseboards and just remove it. I used a putty knife and a small pry bar, being careful not to tear up the drywall here. So my flooring before was a thin layer of vinyl flooring, but instead of ripping that up, I left it down and used it as an underlayment. I could have ripped it up, but if it left behind lines of adhesive, then I would have had to get the surface back to completely flat before starting on my new floor. So my recommendation is to go directly on top if you have something like this. The type of flooring I'm going with is called luxury vinyl flooring, and it's a floating floor that isn't adhered down. However, it does have an adhesive tongue and groove system that attaches each piece to each other. My type of flooring doesn't snap together, but note that they do make a snap together system as well. I've never used this before, but I was really impressed with it. It was so incredibly easy and quick. I started by the tub and then worked my way out to the other wall. I do have a video on how to lay hardwood floor if you're interested in doing that. I'll leave you a link down below. A lot of the same rules apply regardless of what material you go with. Each material will require a space be left between it and the wall. You can see I'm using a 1/4 inch scrap as a spacer. Then you want to make sure to stagger your seams. When I had to cut a piece to fit at the end of a row, I would use the remainder piece as my starter for the next row. And this stuff is easy to cut. I used a box blade and a speed square to score it. Then I just bent to snap it off. Whenever you're doing flooring, it's the most professional looking job if you can keep your row continuous from one side of the room to the other, even if you run into obstacles such as this post. The tricky part will come in whenever you have like different depths, such as this and this side. So what I did is I took a measurement from this post back to the first, where that first layer starts. Then I came over to this right side and took that same measurement and made a tick on the floor. Then I could set my tile in place and mark exactly where I needed to cut it lengthwise so that that first starter row will turn out so that whenever I put my second row in place, it'll be perfectly in line with this one. My space was awesome because once I got around the laundry hamper area, I was able to very quickly cover the rest of the space. The adhesive on the stuff is crazy impressive, so I do recommend paying attention and trying to line up your piece as best as you can on your first go. You can pull it up, but you'll get the best results if you don't have to. I also found it easiest to get a 100% close seam by sort of rolling the piece into place. This way I could baby that seam together as I laid it down from one side to the other, or from one end to the other. Also, since I don't care about my old flooring, I just used it as my cutting surface. However, a scrap would also work well. Once I got around the toilet, I made a hole slightly bigger than the opening ring, then continued to work my way back. Then on the very last piece, I just had to cover up the exposed adhesive tongue, which I did by cutting off another tongue from a scrap piece and laying it directly on top. Easy. Once it's all down, I went over the entire floor with a rubber roller. You can get one with a handle that can extend out a bit to give you some leverage and easily apply downward pressure. All in all, the flooring took me, I think, about 3 hours from start to finish, which I just think is great and crazy. Oh, if you pull up any molding, be sure to keep it on hand because the next step is to put it back. You might need to scrape the back if it has dry caulking on it, but it should all go back just the way you found it. I used a nail gun to shoot in new brads and then ran a new caulking joint all around to seal up the edges. Now, of course, I still have plenty to cover, but I'm going to stop there for this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to install the vanity, the toilet, how to frame a bathroom mirror, and update the tiling on your shower. I will see you then. If you're looking for our next project, I recommend this coffee table I designed that has adjustable heights. You can fold out the tall legs to eat from it, or you can tuck those up and bring out the shorter legs for it to be a standard coffee table. You can click here for plans and here to subscribe to the channel.